Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show. Financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinsler,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FITT Show, helping our folks get their finances together. Welcome to everybody around the country and around the world. This is a show that we have daily and dope. This is a milestone. Today is our 200th show.
It's a bunch.
And the fans go, wow. Yes, though I think that's a major accomplishment. Congratulations to you, sir.
Same to you, good brother.
That's about 4 years, you told me the other day. That's
Yep.
kind of astonishing, man, that we've been on this long. And though, believe it or not, a lot of people have been with us that whole time.
Yeah, I hope they're listening.
Yeah, man. I hope they're applying. Not
Making
just
some money.
listening. Exactly, because if they would have, they definitely should have increased their net worth by a little bit if they just listen to some of us. But some people have, though, and I've been getting a lot of comments, and I really, really appreciate that. But 200 shows, though, that is a major accomplishment.
Yeah, we hoping people developing good financial habits, do financial literacy, and most importantly, we hope anybody listening to us does not get scammed, because that's one of my major worries. I told Bob I was going to mention a new one I heard about where you get a package from somebody and it looks like it's from Amazon, and the instructions are to scan a QR code or barcode that's on the box. And if you do that, it'll take you to instructions to either set up a new date, they'll try to get information from you or try to get a credit card number. But more importantly, that scan can drop some malware into your phone. And that's the last thing you want. So if you get a package and you didn't order it, throw it away. Nobody's sending you something that's not yours. Or just open it. And if it's something you want to keep it. If it ain't something you want to keep, throw it away. But do not scan the QR code. We want to make sure we tell you that so you don't get scammed.
Yes, and because nowadays a lot of things generated by QR codes. And another note, I went and read some more on it too. Also, if some of these legitimate, you got to be careful because the QR code will take you to a place to click on to go to another website. So be careful of some of these ones that look familiar to you too. Okay. And dope, I'm telling you, we talk about all the time, man. They coming with new schemes every day.
Yeah, and they got a Medicare scheme going on, trying to get you information, telling you
Medicare is
information has changed. They need to update your card and all this stuff. And I'm telling you, if you get a text or an email, ignore them and call the number on a credit card or call the number that you know is legit for Medicare. And everybody who's coming of age, or even if you aren't coming of age, sign up for My Social Security, the website for Social Security, before somebody else signs up in your name. And you may be waiting to take your benefits, and they may sign up as you and sign and get your benefits, get your check. And you're thinking you're delaying signing up, but they're signing up and stealing your money. But the big thing to worry about is you got to get signed up and get your information out there so nobody else steals that from you. And I'm telling you, people are doing that like crazy. So if you haven't signed up for My Social Security, go ahead and do that and get that signed up the right way so nobody can steal that money from you.
Hey, Garnett says she's been getting scams about saying I have outstanding traffic tickets. I got that one too.
I got that one too. From PA DMV, which I haven't been in PA in a pretty good while, so I kind of knew it was bogus. But you don't get information like that in texts or emails. So unless you know you got a ticket, then you don't worry about it. But the other thing I'll tell you is you have to be worried about is someone stealing your identity, because there's so many corporate breaches that have taken place, and especially that one, I think it was a national public database that got breached that has your name, social security number, birthday. So a lot of people have your information. So if you do get something like that and you are concerned, and it says it's from this, like mine said PADMV, which I knew I hadn't been PA, so I knew it wasn't legit. But you could indeed, somebody could indeed steal your identity and have gotten a ticket under your name. So that I don't want to say you just totally ignore it, but just you don't click any links that they send you. If you're worried about PADMV, call PADMV. Do not deal with links on emails or texts that you receive.
You know, another one I was getting dope on this daggone what is it called? Easy Pass.
I'm getting those too.
I'm like, come on, stop the.
And I have the Easy Pass and I have the app.
And so, I do, and I actually did.
I knew mine was bull crap.
Right.
All you gotta do is check the app. But again, they're keeping you on your toes. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you gotta stay on your toes. Remember, you all, one of the ways to help protect yourself is, we talk about it all the time, go out there and put a credit freeze on your account. It doesn't freeze your credit; it just freezes people trying to get your information from the major credit bureaus. So
that's an automatic. If you have it frozen, not free, because you got to watch it, because even the credit bureaus are being, I'll say, tricky, because Experian has two techniques. I think one is freeze, and I can't remember what the other one is.
Credit lock.
Yeah, the other one is a lock. Right. And they try to charge you for the lock, but you don't need to do that. All you need to do is freeze your credit file, and that's free. But whenever you go, even Experian, they try to get you to, let me look at it to make sure. Credit actions. Yeah, no, one is freeze. It may be locked, Bob, but I'm not sure.
I thought it was locked.
But it's something that sounds like freeze, but it's not freeze, and it's something they're trying to sell.
But they're charging you, right?
Yeah, so you just have to understand that you don't need to pay any money to freeze your credit file. And you definitely need to do that. And all you have to do, if you decide to apply for credit, to go buy a car or go open a line of credit, then you just go in and unfreeze it, let them check it, and then freeze it back. So that's what you do. So
yeah, it worked when I bought a car in December, though. I forgot, had it on, and it notified me. Because the vendor, the retailer picks which credit bureau they want to get your score from, and it was they used Experian, and Experian notified me, and all I did was go online and clicked it off, and they went on and did it, and they notified me, and I just put it right back on.
I opened a checking account, and he told me he couldn't access. On the phone, he called me and said he couldn't access my credit file, and I did it while he was on the phone. I unlocked it while he was on the phone.
Yeah, it's immediate,
and I locked it back.
Yeah, that's this. I mean, it's nothing 100%, but we got to use the tools that are at our,
it is, Bob. It's locked.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
You go to Experian, it'll say your credit file is unlocked. And of course, there's a charge for that. So you don't need to lock your credit file. You need to freeze your credit file. So don't forget to do that today. Get it done, out the way. Then you don't have to worry.
We've been saying this, though, and I know a few people on here has not done it yet personally. So y'all need to stop procrastinating before you get a breach, because there's been a lot of different major. Now the breaches are bigger.
Yeah, and all your information is out there on the dark web.
Yes.
So social number. So they have your information. So it used to be the fight was keeping your information from getting out there, but there have been so many data breaches that your information is out there. So now what you have to do is protect your information. Right. And that's having those alerts, having your credit cards frozen so they can't open a new account in your name. and you got your alerts on the ones you already have open, so you know if somebody's tapping on your card.
Right. And the thing is, your information is all over. You might have your social security over here, your address over here, your email, and they pull all of that together, and that's how they actually do it. So just make sure, like you say, you can't stop them, but you can at least can prevent them, from getting information. And the other one is, please remember, you all, the free credit report from each major credit bureau is the site is annualcreditreport.com. There's one that says free annualcreditreport.com. That is not the legitimate one. The legitimate one is annualcreditreport.com. So please make that note. I want to make another note to you all. I want to apologize that I did not notify you that we wasn't doing the show last week, because I forgot I was going to be in Turks and Caicos for my wonderful wife's birthday.
That's pretty
I've learned my lesson, though. Doe said, don't be disclosing women's ages on the dark web. No. But it was great. We were Turks and Caicos last week, and I didn't know we were coming back so late. So I apologize for not notifying you all. But here we are. We're back. And remember, the week for last, we did a show on Prepare for the Unexpected. If you missed that show, another great show. Go out there in the archives. Now, Dope, out on Facebook Live, they're only storing them for 30 days. So you need to go out there and get them. And not storing them indefinitely, but they are stored on YouTube also. And you can see all our previous shows. With that, Dope, today's show is keep track of your money. And we're going to get into what does that really mean, because that's a loaded statement. But before we get into that, we're going to get into our major kickoff at the top of every show. And though we always are praying that you're going to give us some great stock market news.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's going to be any good news for a while, as long as we have the current administration in place, because things are really, really wild right now. You got it working today.
Yeah, it's working. Thank God.
Good job. Yeah, but before we start talking about the numbers, there's just so much going on with the tariffs. And I always told you, I don't profess to be an expert in anything, but basic economics tell you that tariffs raise prices. That's you don't need to be a genius to understand that there's an additional cost added to the product. It's going to cost more. It's going to cause prices to rise. Now, how much they rise is dependent upon how much the selling country decides to absorb and how much they decide to pass on. And we're already seeing some price increases in things that have tariffs. And the market has been gyrating back and forth with one day the tariffs are on, the next day the tariffs are off. And I think that taco name that they're calling him, what's that stand for?
Trump always cops out.
Yeah, and so nobody really knows what's going to happen on the tariffs. But if they stay in place, they're going to cause inflation. And you hear a lot of talk that they're trying to just negotiate new agreements. Now, what has caused the market to be on a pretty nice run is that the U.S. and China are in talks to try to come up with a trade agreement that works for both sides. And whenever good news comes out, the market goes up. Whenever bad news comes out, the market goes down. But realize this is a 2-week time frame we're looking at now. This is actually, I think it was May 27th that we're comparing to. So you can see this S&P is up slightly, 85 points. Year to date is up 2%, which is still pretty good. NASDAQ had a pretty good roll. It's up 372 points. It's flat year to date. Microsoft has been rolling. I mean, just good numbers and everything's going positive. They're up to $468. They went up 13 points in the last 2 weeks, and they're up 11% year to date. So I'm loving that. Apple, on the other hand, which is, it's dealing with what's going on in China, the fact that they sell a lot in China and they produce some in China, and then they produce in India. Trump didn't like that, so he's talking about slapping big tariffs on India. So they're in a bad spot right now. Their stock is down. It's flat for the week, but for the year to date, it's down 20%. It was 250 at the end of December. Nvidia has continued to do well. They're at some risk because they also sell a lot of chips to China, and there's a worry that Trump may cut that off, not wanting them to get ahead of us on the whole AI train. So Nvidia's been going well. It's up 7 points for the week. 2-week period, and it's up 4% year to date. Google, on the other hand, is facing all kinds of governmental regulatory issues. There's some issues about Apple using their search engine as their default search engine. So they've been kind of struggling lately. They're down 2% for the week, 11% year to date. Pfizer's pretty flat. For the week. It's down for the year to date. It's down 15%. And finally, Palantir, which again, this stock has been rolling. It's up 70%. It's up 58% year to date, but it's down 2% in the 2-week period. Now it's at crazy highs. You can see 58% for the year. It's been going up like crazy, and that's all based on the fact that they are expected to get a lot of governmental contracts. But there's some pushback because a lot of Republicans are big on privacy of information, and there's a lot of talk that what Palantir provides is a database of information on everybody. So it's going to be curious to see how that plays out. I'm actually thinking about bailing soon. I got in at 70, so I'm up 50 points on that. I'm actually thinking about getting out of that. I'm going to wait and see how the next couple of days play out. But I may bail on that and take my money and run and buy something else. But all in all, we got to wait and see how this thing in China is going to work. Because if Trump gets mad and reenacts those huge tariffs, the market's going to take a hit. It's going to throw everything into disarray. So we'll have to see how it's all going to shake out. The other big issue is the spending bills that are going through Congress right now. I think the House approved it, and that's having a big effect on the bond market because it's going to increase the government debt by a huge amount, and nobody likes that except the current administration. And so if the bill does get passed, you can expect a big stock market hit, and they keep saying it'll be made up with growth in the market, but that's been going on for years. That's that whole trickle down theory that has never proven to work, but they keep saying it so they can keep giving the rich folks huge tax breaks and keep giving the folks in the middle at the bottom a whole lot less. And they give them a little bit and they think it's a lot, but when you look at what the rich folks are getting, it's crazy. In that bill, they have big cuts in Medicaid, which is the most needy of people. And some of the things in the bill make sense. I think they passed the logic test, even though a lot of things in that bill does not pass the logic test. And again, it's taking from the people who need it most, taking from kids, taking from, we're not going to be a political show. All I'm saying is if those bills go through, you can expect to hit a big hit in the market. So that's where we are.
Even more the reason for you to make sure you take control of your money. And, it may be a shock to your finances, but it won't be a total collapse of your financial situation. That's why we do these shows. So we're hoping that you, take heed and listen to a lot of what we're talking about, especially today's show, which is very, very important. Just want to let you, physical gold is up $3,383 an ounce. That's up $7.60 today alone, an ounce of gold. And silver is up $36. Like I told you, I got in the gold, I think at $1,300, and I got in at silver at $16. So I'm not doing too bad right there. So keep that in mind. And And though I'd gotten to GE when they had multiple, they had a credit company, um, airplane engines, trucking, and everything, but they broke it apart, and the stock was a reverse stock split, and it kicked me down to only 70 shares at $70 from 200 shares, but now it's up $251 a share. So I'm starting to climb back up there. And so um, it does work to have a nice diversified portfolio, y'all. We cannot overstate that statement. All right, let's get to the cryptocurrency market. Though cryptocurrency market is taking a hit. It's down 8%. The total market cap of $3,288,000,000 is down $276 billion. Whoa. That's about 8%. The Bitcoin is now down to $101,660. 2 weeks ago, it was up around 111,000. Last week, it was down to 109,000. It's down 7%, down $7,408. As we say, highly speculative. Don't put money in it that you're not willing to lose. Everything's down across the board. It's between 7 and 9% on all crypto, at least the major cryptocurrencies, meaning the top 10. But Solana took a major hit for 18%. It's down to $145 a share, down from $177. So it's a tricky investment, but stay the course if you're in it. If you need the money, then jump out, and if you have to take that loss, take it. But if not, we always talk about the long play, and then it depends on your portfolio and what you're trying to do. Always remember that. But that's the cryptocurrency market, though.
Cool.
So, Dope, I want to make this statement because I had, before we get into the show today, had somebody give me this idea. They said, Bob, this your 200 show. When are you going to have another milestone show, and have an in-person session like in, the DC, DMV metropolitan area, where we do like a celebration for everybody who's been on and for the people who can come, do a in-person session so people can meet each other and meet us in person. What do you think?
Oh, we can do that. We can plan it.
Yeah. So that was a good idea given to me, and we'll probably do that. And if y'all are all for that, let me know, give a thumbs up. And like I say, this seems to be the area, where it might be more central for people, but we're not just locked to here. We can do it down in Charlotte, where Doe is, or up here. So anyway, something to contemplate, though. I think that's a good idea so people can see themselves, and we could have some speakers and stuff. Don't have some guest speakers and have some giveaways and give a wonderful meal. So stay tuned for that. But let us know in the comment box if y'all are for that. If you are, interested in something like that. Okay, Mo Better. Well, Better, what are you talking about? Don't do that no more. Laugh out loud. I don't know what it is, but
don't do what you do.
Let me know. All right, so title: Keep track of your money. What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, it sounds simple, right? You think you want to stay positive, you want to stay in the black, just spend less than you make, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody should be able to do that, but very few people do. Okay, and that's why budgeting, making a plan, is so important to you reaching your financial goals. Bunch of reasons you might want to budget. You might want to build up an emergency fund. You might plan a trip that you want to take. You might be saving for college. You might want to get a down payment on a house or a car or whatever. Or you just might want to live comfortably between paychecks so you aren't worried that you're going to run out of money. But you got to identify your goals. You have to. You have to identify your goals, and you got to figure out where your money goes. How much you're bringing in, how much is going out, what's important, what's not, what's discretionary, what's required. And so once you've got that down and you understand that, then you can start using some of the budgeting tips that we're going to describe for you today.
Yes. Mo Better is asking, what are you asking? Should you take old address off your credit report? Don't know about that though.
I would make my credit report as accurate as I could, because it's funny. If when you call the credit agency, this is rough on old people, and when you go in there to do something, they'll start asking you questions like, where did you live in like 1990, and you had a car payment that was X number of dollars, and who was it from? So they'll ask you a lot of questions that, you got to really rack your brain to figure out. But I would try to keep my credit file as accurate as possible. That's just me. I don't think there's any exposure by having those old addresses out there, except some, let's call it not certification, but some people who are trying to say who you are or prove who you are. They'll ask for old addresses, or like, which of these addresses is not relevant to you, and things of that sort. So right. I would just try to keep my file accurate.
Yeah. They do. Now, many Americans are struggling to live within their means. We talk about that a lot. And trying to, make their ends meet. Now, financial experts say social pressure, lifestyle creep, and emotional impulse spending are common causes. Also, don't forget how the high inflation is now, and the credit misconceptions are also factors. But budgeting may seem unpleasant, and I don't know why to a lot of people. Well, I think I understand why it is unpleasant to a lot of people, and even grueling sometimes, because I know it causes people to have to, stick to, be strict and be in control of their situation and of their spending. But ultimately, it's the difference that you have in good financial health. Now, budgeting is definitely unpopular. According to the Bank Rate's latest money and mental health survey shows that less than 1/3, that's 29% of Americans, reviewed their budget during a 30-day period. That's just 1/3. And there are not many things that we have control over, but we have control over our budget. Now, some budgeting methods are sound, but I'm finding out they're not very taught well. So a lot of people, it creates barriers for them. It creates misconceptions and pressure on them. So simply learning a new way to save, or a new tactic to not overspend, like on groceries, may be a defining factor in sticking with a grocery budget. So today, we're going to just discuss a few tips that we hope can make budgeting a little bit easier or better for you.
Yeah, and the first thing you got to do, you got to find something that works for you. And everybody's different. Tracking expenses it's important. Sometimes people get caught up in the tedious aspect of a lot of numbers and trying to budget every particular item. You got to find something that fits your way of doing things. Some people use their credit cards because you can actually use your credit card to categorize different types of expenses so you can see where your money's going. Some people use a monthly breakdown of what they spend to see how they can control different costs. And old school methods is simply sitting down, pen and paper, writing how much you have budgeted for each particular category, and then putting in your actuals, comparing the two, and making adjustments as you see fit. And geeks like me, I have a little Excel spreadsheet where I list what I plan on spending in the current month, and then when it actually comes through, I clear it out. But I have to have an idea of what I'm going to spend in the next month, just so I can know where I am with kind of things I need to change. But you have to find something that works for you, and hopefully whatever method you choose will help you cut your costs when you start looking at where you're spending money, and you'll look for ways to spend less in certain areas, and you'll look for ways to maybe put a little bit more on the investment side, and so you can get your money growing for you. But just find a way that works for you. We talked before about a bunch of different apps, but you don't even need to have an app. Pencil and paper, write down what you expect to spend, keep track so you can compare and then move forward.
Yeah, that's very, very, very sound advice, though, because a lot of people, it's amazing we understand the importance of budget, but a lot of people fail to do it. But another good tip is get inspired. Now, what I mean by that, get inspired. Now, research shows that visualizing a goal can help you accomplish it. In the lead up to a trip, one magazine editor out of New York talked about in lead up to a trip, find a pretty photo of the destination and make it, your phone's wallpaper. Now, why do this? It helps you resist the urge to shop for extra clothes. You have it in front of you, you know it's coming up, and other stuff that you don't need. It's a reminder to save your spending for a trip so you can experience, the journey to the fullest. Another, content creator, Miss Berman, says she religiously uses a budget app. Not only it helps create a savings plan, but it also reports spending trends. But also it sends daily inspirations. Like she have one that says, "Think it's not about what you earn; it's about what you save." Say the course. So I keep a lot of quotes, and I keep a lot of money quotes too that I always run by and send out to my friends. And it may sound like a little thing, but it's important, man, that you try to inspire yourself and keep you, at least pumped up and don't feel so restricted that you put so much pressure on yourself that you feel like you're living in a box.
Yeah, here's another one. And this one's probably more important for younger people, but you have to monitor lifestyle creep. And when you're young and getting raises, and you make more, you spend more. You make more, you spend more. It's difficult to get ahead when you do that. And if I could give any advice to young people, it would be to get your standard of living fixed. Determine how much you need to spend on housing, cars, food, everything else, and convince yourself not to raise those things as your income rises, and then take that extra money and invest that either in yourself, in stocks, and in savings accounts, or whatever. But don't fall into the trap of every time you make more money, you spend more money. And it's really easy to do. And you can convince yourself very easily by saying, I got a raise, I deserve it. I need to, I've earned that new car or that whatever new vacation or whatever it is. But get your budget, plan what you're going to do based on what you make now. And as you make more, you don't have to spend more just because you make more.
True that, dope. I want to talk about lifestyle creep. You need to monitor that. Like lifestyle creep is stuff like when you're spending more, your income rises. You get a raise, you tend to spend more, you make more money, you spend more. And it could take a bite out of your potential savings. Like one travel agent says that regularly studies. Yes.
You're on the next one, brother.
Oh, I thought you just did.
I just did lifestyle creep.
You sure did. I'm so sorry. I had a different. It's my next one is supposed to be keep savings out of sight. Excuse me, and I really appreciate that, though. I was trying to read something. That's what I get for not paying attention. Apologize. So look, let's talk about keep savings out of sight. What does that mean? inconsistent income, especially for contractors or commission-based workers, can complicate budgeting. Now, I have a lot of friends that are like real estate agents and financial advisors, and they live on commission, and you might do that too. So when income comes in spurts, you might feel flushed until your bills come due. So stay on track, like uh, many people who earn commissions, they automatically deposit their paycheck into a bank account that they use to pay taxes, and another 20% into a high yield savings account. Now, the idea is you won't spend it if you don't see it, even in some low income months. Avoid accessing your savings to make up the difference is very important. It's so important to have different accounts, you all, because it's a better way to keep track and keep it separated. Because I believe in this: if you don't see it, you don't spend it. And so, if you have a reserve, you can use that. Like we always talk about, emergency fund. But try your best to keep it out of sight and out of mind.
And the next one, and this is really important, and this is something that's tough for people who've never had money. And I struggled with this too until it finally caught on. And then it actually worked wonders for me, and it was a driving force. And that's paying attention to how spending and saving make you feel. And you think about things you bought recently and really think about how it made you feel. When you spring for something out of the norm and you have it, and you think about that emotion, how excited you were to buy that particular gadget or whatever it is. But then think about it afterwards and say, hey, did that really hit the spot for me? Was that really as useful as I thought it was going to be? Is it really something that I truly used and really appreciated, and it made a difference in my life? Or was it just an impulse buy that made you feel good for a couple of minutes, but really out of your budget, not something that you ever going to use, sits around drawing dust? And those are the kind of things, everybody's done that. I mean, I've done that a bunch of times in my life, but understand that feeling. And when it hits you again, think about those things you've done in the past that maybe, yeah, I was really excited to get that, but I really didn't use it. I really didn't need it. It's really money wasted that I'll never get back. And so those are the kind of things you got to look at. And then you start thinking about focusing on what you're saving, looking at how much is in your bank account, how much you saved, how much it's gone up in the past year, how much it's gone up in the past 2 years, 5 years. You can even do some forecasting. If I keep saving at this rate and I make 5% a year, how much will I have in 5 years? How much will I have in 10 years? And that might help you or help keep you on your budget, and you start appreciating how much money you have versus the things that you can buy. And that's a little trick that kind of helped me. And once you start hitting those milestones, once you get to 10,000, or you get to 50,000, or you get to 100,000, or you save your first million, then you get your second million. Those kind of things keep you going. And again, I'm not saying you just get totally focused on accumulating money, but when you do have money, you can create memories, and that's really what I think it's all about. Things, they don't last very long. A lot of them wear out. A lot of them, once you get them, you don't really appreciate them. You don't really use them. Memories stick with you forever. But try to get a appreciation for how good having money in your account makes you feel, and that might help you stay on the straight and narrow as far as your budget.
Both Rodney Madison and Modestine talks about paying yourself first. Rodney said, what about paying yourself first? Modestine said you should always pay yourself first. And that's a Very important fact. Would you not agree, though?
Oh, that's the most important thing that you could possibly do. And we've talked about you pay yourself first and then you live on what's left. And you will adapt to whatever you have. Okay. If you take and put your money away first, you will adjust your spending to what's left. Once you discipline yourself that you aren't going to use credit cards, you aren't going to use debt to finance things, then you pay yourself first, you live on what's left, and you let that money work for you, as opposed to just working and paying bills. That's just not how you want to do it. That's one of the basic tenets. Always pay yourself first.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. And I want to talk about this last one is be patient and reward yourself. Like not beating yourself up when the budget breaks, has made it easier for a lot of people to stay on course. Like, some people give themselves grace knowing, that they're working towards something. But sometimes people beat themselves up because they can't stick to a budget. But the fact of the matter is, it's tough sometimes. Unexpected circumstances happen, but that's okay. Try to regroup, and if it helps lessen the anxiety around budgeting, remember that budgeting is about the long game. So persistence is more important than perfection. When you do hit a savings goal, consider celebrating with a reward for yourself. Take yourself out to get something to eat, get a new shirt. Try coming up with some kind of incentive that doesn't cost much or anything. For instance, like an hour out, listen to a good financial podcast or any kind of podcast, or reading a book, like my book, The Other Side of the Hoop, or shameful plug, or, taking a hot bath or walking outside on a nice day. Now, each month, if possible, adjust your estimated spending in a category or two if you can to save more money, or direct that money towards more pressing needs. For example, say you want to cut your eating expenses from $1,000 a month to $500 a month. Instead of immediately halving that spending, try reducing it to $100 a month for the first 5 months. Now, this can help you feel less stressed about the change, and it can increase chances that you'll hit your goal. Now, repeat the action for another category once you feel good about the progress you made. Go, cut yourself some slack. A budget is supposed to make you be aware of your spending habits, not make you miserable. Avoid unrealistic spending limits or monthly saving goals. Aiming for the unachievable could make you want to stop budgeting, because sometimes it can feel useless, feel like you're not accomplishing your goals. And that's one other thing I just want to tell you. One of the things that helps you with budget to make you feel good, if you're struggling to doing a budget, set some goals. Because once you set some goals, it kind of make you feel a lot better when you reach those goals. And it may not be the whole plan that you're trying to do, but have some little small rewards, celebrations, some small achievements that you did. So just set some goals.
And Bob, let me run through real quick. When you talk about setting goals, your goals have to be SMART goals. Okay. What SMART goals are? It's an acronym for the following. It has to be specific. So when you say, I'm setting a goal to save for a vacation, I'm setting a goal to save for a down payment on a house. So it has to be specific. It has to be measurable. Okay, that means I'm setting a goal to go on vacation and I need $1,500 for this vacation. So now my goal is specific and it's measurable. Next, it has to be achievable. Okay, you have to have money coming in to be able to put money away to meet that goal. So it's specific, it's for vacation, it's measurable, it's a specific amount of money, and it's achievable. Yes, I make enough money to put away for this vacation. then it has to be relevant. And what I mean by relevant, it has to be part of what you're trying to do, what you want to do as a person. And the last one is time bound. Time bound. So I'm going to take a vacation. I'm going to, I need $1,500. I make enough money to put away enough to have that. Vacation is what I want to do. And I'm going to do that in the next 6 months. So those are the things you have to do to make sure your goals are realistic, that it's something that you can accomplish. And it's a lot easier if you set realistic goals. You won't get discouraged about not having reached that goal if you follow that acronym for SMART. And it's real important to realize, I think Bob mentioned this earlier, you're going to go over budget sometimes. Sometimes things are going to come up that are not in your budget. What you have to do is just focus back, readjust, get back on the bandwagon to help you reach your goals. It's very hard to accumulate wealth if you don't have a plan, if you don't have goals, if you don't have a budget. It's very, very difficult to achieve wealth. Not saying you can't do it, that you can't do it without a budget, but it's a lot easier if you have a plan. And so we strongly suggest everybody put the time and effort into building wealth. And one of the things you need to do is develop some goals and have a budget.
And the key to really keeping track and following a budget is writing it down, because a lot of people try to hold it in their head. And I know we try to do that. You know, we say we're going to put $200 a month away. The next month, something come up. You say, I'm going to put $100 in the next week. I'll put $300 to make up for the $100 I didn't. Then you don't, you forget. So it's so important to write it down because it crystallizes. No, and another thing, I know you all, compared to, years ago, there are just a lot of good things out there. And I know you do. You're a technology type guy. There's so many gadgets and so much things out there now that you can spend money on that just seems so cool and so advanced. I mean, it's a lot of things out there that can, what they call the shiny objects, to make you want to spend your money on. But if you have a goal and a plan, and that's why they call a budget a spending plan, it can help you. And the other thing is too, though, another thing that and this falls into, like the lifestyle creep thing too. A lot of people have young kids. There's so many activities now. Soccer trips, basketball tournaments, dance competitions. And if you don't plan for those things in your budget, they can take a really big hit. And the more kids you have, the more it can. So I hope y'all understand why we're talking about budgets again, because it's so important. It's like that old saying.
What old saying?
Everybody has one.
It's funny, Bob. I've had this conversation with my kids about teeth, and I tell them, you can do everything right. You can go to the dentist twice a year. You can brush. You can floss. You can water pig. You can do everything. That doesn't guarantee you don't have good teeth, right? But if you don't do those things, you have no chance. You are not going to have good teeth. You're not. As simple as that. And it's the same thing with budgeting. If you can do that, and life can happen and screw the budget up, or something unexpected can happen. But if you don't do it, again, it's almost impossible to build wealth just making money and spending money and not having any idea of where your money's going. So you have to have a plan to get there. You have to.
Yes. So with that, dope, let's go to the summary and takeaways, because once again, We said a lot, and we hope this was very beneficial to you all. Again, sometimes hearing things, repeating, learning is repetitious. But let's go over. We talked a lot. Let's go over some of the things we talked about today, and make sure y'all get a pencil and paper and write these down.
Yeah, and the first one we just talked about, your money needs a plan. I mean, your budget is your financial navigation system. It's going to help you get to where you need to be. And money is just the aspect of handling money and all the things that can happen, all the balls you have to have in the air when it comes to taxes and withdrawals and RMDs and savings account amounts. It's so complicated that you need a plan that helps you see the whole picture of what's going on with your money. That's why you need a budget. You have to have an idea of what's going on if you have any chance of managing it, especially when things get chaotic.
Next one is budgeting is an effective tool. Now, I know this seems intuitive and right? But it only works if you make it work. It takes effort, you all. And there's a bunch of budgeting tools out there. Just Google budgeting apps. There's so many good ones out there, you all, that you can automate, and it makes it easy for you. I suggest you do that because it is very important that you put the effort in. The budgets just don't work. You can put it on paper, but if you don't implement it or exercise it, it doesn't make any sense.
Right. It's got to be realistic. Okay. If you do it and it's not realistic, you're not going to stick with it. And being realistic, you got to understand that sometimes things happen that you don't have planned, and you have to deal with those. That's not a reason to give up on your budget. That's more reason to have one if things get crazy. But come up with something that you can live with and then roll with it.
And the last one is stay ready so that you don't have to get ready. I love that statement, though. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Meaning, plan for those big events. There's unexpected life events that happen. Better to handle uncertainties it's so much better to handle uncertainties if you have a spending plan. So stay ready so you can so you don't have to get ready.
And it's things like if you have an old car, you're going to have repairs. If you have a house, stuff's going to break. Okay. So that. So try to put money aside in your budget to handle those things. Not saying you can budget everything because nobody knows what's going to happen. But some things are clear in front of your face. If you like to have a coffee every day, put that in your budget because right now those things are expensive. If you like to eat lunch every now and then, if you like to get your hair done or your nails done or buy certain things, put those in your budget. And then when they happen, you can deal with them.
So with that, Dope, that brings us to the end of another show. And Dope, 200 shows, man, we completed, man. Pat on our backs, man. I got to give us some credit, man. That's a lot. And, we really haven't duplicated too many. Very few, less than 3, to be honest. And it's been a great. And we plan to continue giving you this information, you all.
Except we won't be here next week.
Next week?
We will not be here.
Okay, I'm glad you reminded me. Next week, we won't be here, you all, but we'll be here the week after that. But look, please keep sending in statements of, not statements, requests of other type of subjects. Kitty said your money needs a plan. Budgeting is an effective tool. It must be realistic. Stay ready. So, okay, yes, way to repeat it. Kitty, you listening, girl. I appreciate that. And thanks now for complimenting us on our 200 show. With that, as we always do, our roll call. Garnett Nickens, the wonderful Now Doty, Rodney L. Madison Sr. Don't forget to go out there. You all check him out on his site, thenotexperience.com. He still is doing that as a investment alternative, holding mortgage notes. You being the banker, you can do it. It's a viable asset to be able to put in your portfolio. So check it out. Mo Better. Mo Better, you are Mo Better. We're glad to have you on as always, girl. We appreciate you. Kitty Cheney, yes, the queen of the International Toastmasters. And hey, my man, Derek, I hope you're still on with us. Derek Seals, my homeboy, cross the street neighbor, grew up with him. And my wonderful sister, Linda. Gloria Nolan's not on the day, but Linda is carrying the banner for the Kinzer sisters. Deborah Doty, what's up, Debbie?
DD.
Glad to see you on.
Mom.
Always great to see you. And my great brother, Carl Chapman, over there in Bowie, Maryland. Glad to see you on. Thank you so much, everybody. And we'll be checking you all out next week. And Dope.
Week after next.
Weeks, keep saying that. Week after next, right? 201 first show. Dope. The quote of the day.
I can't wait.
They feared the wolf for many years, only to be eaten by the shepherd. Have a great day, y'all. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Have a wonderful day, y'all. And we see you week after next. That would be the 19th, no, June the 19th. And I got some on the counter. What is that? Oh, that's literally Juneteenth Day.
Yep.
They told the people 2 years later in Texas. That's a mess up, man.
And I'm not laughing. I'm laughing.
What happened?
That's an ironic laugh. That's how it's been since we've been here. Okay.
So y'all have a great week, and we see you week after next. Love y'all much. And remember, send them some of those ideas or shows you'd like for us to do. And let us know if y'all are open to us doing a live session here in the DMV area or in Charlotte, North Carolina. Have a great one.